Okay, so this was the syllabus for constitution, and we whatever is in green, right, we would be discussing that part. Okay, so there is one thing that is mentioned in unit 1 is constitutional provision of Jammu and Kashmir and article 370 of Constitution of India. So now because article 370 is being repealed, we need to mention that as well. Okay, so in one of the previous year question papers, they asked regarding what all provisions are mentioned under Article 360 and what is the special status that is given to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. But now because it's revised, so we need to accordingly write. So I think I got one question where it was like comment on removal of the special status of the state of Jammu and Kashmir that was given under Article 370. So accordingly, we can prepare like a short note for this question also and read it. Like because recently it's again in news, so there might be one question like that. So one short note I have, we can accordingly study that. Okay. All right, so this is constitutional provision of Jammu and Kashmir, Article 370. So we just have like a small history from where you can mention 3-4 sentences. Then special status that was given under Article 370. Then what all special rules or regulations were applicable in Jammu and Kashmir. Then just a mention with regard to High Court of Jammu and Kashmir. Then procedure of amendment of the state constitution and revoking special status that was given under Article 370, and accordingly we can just conclude the topic. Okay.
Okay.
So with regard to historical background, so Jammu and Kashmir was the only state that tried to negotiate with regard to its terms of accession. At the time of independence, it was the only state that wanted to remain independent and wanted to keep it separate from India or Pakistan. So their ruler, Maharaja Hari Singh of Jammu and Kashmir at the time of independence from British rule, decided not to join either India or Pakistan, and they wanted to remain independent. But just after 2 years of taking that decision, when India and Pakistan got separated, just after 2 years, there was in their border areas there was one attack. So border areas, some of which are now called Pak occupied Kashmir of Jammu and Kashmir, were attacked by their Azad Kashmir forces, which was supported by again Pakistani army. So it was again attacked by them just within 2 months. And at that point of time, they realized that being a very small state, they were not having that much of arms or that much of ability to defend themselves, right? So within this 2 months period only, they realized that it would be very difficult for them to sustain as an independent, like a country. It would not be very easy for them. So after that attack, they decided to join India because of their own lack of army and weapons. Definitely they realized that and they wanted to join with India. But then they did not wanted to surrender all their powers and everything like other states. But what they wanted to do is they wanted to negotiate their terms and conditions with India. Like what all powers you will have and what all powers we want to retain with us. There was basically an instrument of accession where everything was written down properly, right? So it was like an agreement that was made between government of India and Jammu and Kashmir. So Maharaja Hari Singh signed an instrument of accession which specified 3 subjects on which Jammu and Kashmir would transfer its powers to government of India. So there was foreign affairs, defense, as well as communication. These were the 3 areas where they decided to hand over their powers to the central government, and they decided that for all the remaining things, Jammu and Kashmir will have their own powers. Jammu and Kashmir will retain its own independence. Accordingly, Maharaja appointed an interim government, like for the namesake, they appointed a government in the state with a prime minister, and with 3 other colleagues, they joined the Indian Constituent Assembly because when all the other provisions and all the other stuff were mentioned in the constitution, they also wanted to have their things mentioned there, right? So there was these 3 members who joined Indian Constituent Assembly just in order to negotiate with regard to the special status that was given to state of Jammu and Kashmir, right? So accordingly, they tried to negotiate all these terms and conditions, and that these are the 3 areas where government of India would be having power, and for the remaining ones, they want to retain the power with themselves. So accordingly, just to ensure that these provisions are properly mentioned there, Article 370 was added. The controversial provision was drafted by Sheikh Abdullah. So the Prime Minister, he himself accordingly did it. So accordingly, the provision was mentioned, and only these 3 areas where central government will have power, and otherwise they will have their own provisions, own everything they will have. And accordingly, they have a constitution, right? They had a constitution of their own as well, right? So all the provisions would be governed accordingly. Whatever is written in their constitution, that would be applicable. Whatever laws, regulations they want to introduce, they can do that accordingly. So this little bit of
When in 1947, when the India was forming, or India or Pakistan, so every state was a given opportunity whether they want to merge with India, or it is only for in case of a Jammu and Kashmir, it was given.
No, not for everything it was given. There was this there was agreement also where this Ray Berubari, there is one case, Ray Berubari case. So basically there was one foreigner, okay, one like British person who was not having much idea with regard to like many places in India, right? He did not visit many of the places in India. He was not having much idea with regard to geographical location, boundary, he was basically not having much idea with regard to it. So that person was given the task that based on these different thanas, right, you need to demarcate that these thanas are coming under India, these thanas are going to Pakistan. So accordingly, he decided that only with regard to Jammu and Kashmir, they decided that we want to keep ourselves separate. We don't want to become part of either of the 2 countries. So that was only with regard to Jammu and Kashmir. For the remaining ones, accordingly, based on that, whatever negotiations were done, and the person who was appointed, right, I forgot his name, but he accordingly demarcated that these all thanas are coming under India, these all thanas are going to Pakistan. So there was this controversy also, because he was not having much idea. He would not be biased, right? He would not be like, okay, I'm giving good places to India and might be not so good places to Pakistan. There would be no such kind of issues or anything. But because he was not having much idea, right, with regard to geography and other stuff, there was one thana which was left. Like it was not given, included in either in India's part or in Pakistan part. One thana was included, like Berubari Thana. And later on, after a few months, Pakistan realized that it's not mentioned clearly whether it's coming under India or Pakistan. Then they wanted to claim that, then India also wanted to claim that, and after all, they basically entered into an agreement and divided it equally, that few part you take, few part we are taking. So there is one thing also, Ray Berubari Union case. So accordingly, or for other states, it was done like that, that based on different thanas, whatever area is coming under one thana, that would come under India. Whatever thana is going for Pakistan, accordingly, the area would be demarcated basically. It was only with regard to this state. That is why the special status is accordingly mentioned here. And also we have another provision with regard to few other states, but those are regarding not like they have some special constitution, special laws or other stuff. They are with regard to their functioning, right? Like local self-government, they would have, right? Councils and all they would have. So those provisions are a little bit different, but for these states also, we have special provisions mentioned under constitution, but not like Jammu and Kashmir.
Is it under same article 370?
No, it's different. 371, then we have like sub clauses we have. So that's also part of the syllabus that we are going to discuss, but not like how significant it is with regard to Jammu and Kashmir, right? It's not like that for the other states. So with regard to this, you can simply mention might be this much, that accordingly why like they decided and based on what agreement they decided that these three we are handing over the under instrument of accession. They decided that for these three grounds we are handing over the powers, but for the remaining ones we still want to keep it with us. So like that you can give a basic intro with regard to it. All right. So Article 370 is being repealed from Constitution, right? So is it still there, part of Constitution or not?
Sorry?
Article 370, like special status is removed, right? So is Article 370 still a part of Constitution or not?
It is still should be a part of Constitution. So, but applicability will not be there for Jammu and Kashmir.
So Article 370, it's basically modified. The special status is being removed, but with a lot of modifications, the article is still there, but it's not giving a special status like it used to give. So article, we still find it. Now, with regard to the special status that is given under Article 370, a state is said to have special status if provisions of union does not apply to the state, because otherwise we have union list, whatever rules and subjects are there, union would make laws and accordingly those would be applicable. But if those laws are not being made applicable in a certain state, we can say that state is getting some special powers. If we have Constitution of India and then provisions are not applied there, accordingly we would decide, right? So different states may have different provisions. Article 370 of Constitution of India gives special status with regard to state of Jammu and Kashmir. And we have another provision, Article 371 of Constitution, which provides special status to 10 other states: Assam, Nagaland, Sikkim, Manipur, Mizoram, Goa, Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal, Maharashtra, and Gujarat. So these are the other states where also there are some special provisions mentioned for each of those different states. But with regard to Jammu and Kashmir, we have a separate Article 370. Now, what all things do not apply to Jammu and Kashmir, or what is the significance? Now, this part was much relevant before, like before Article 370 was repealed. If there was a question mentioned with regard to special status of Jammu and Kashmir, might be you could have written down all the things, right? That this is applicable in rest of India, but not in Jammu and Kashmir. But now you can, in short, right? Okay, like there are plenty of other things. I have not included those things because now it's of no use or no meaning, right? So these are some significant things which we can anyways mention. Even though special status is being removed, in past tense, we can mention that this was how it was with regard to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, but now it's no more applicable. Like that, we can mention regarding few things that we remember. So Article 370 and status of application of fundamental rights, DPSP's fundamental duties in Jammu and Kashmir. So until this special status under Article 370 was there, which was applicable, Part 4, Directive Principles of State Policy, Part 4A, fundamental duties were not applicable. Were not applicable to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, where on the other hand it was applicable to other states. Now, if under DPSP, right, Directive Principles of State Policy, have you read that part, Directive Principles of State Policy, what they are?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So basically what happens, right, we have some fundamental rights. Fundamental rights, you know, right, basic rights.
Yes.
That are guaranteed to us, like right to life, right to equality,
right to walk, right to talk.
Yeah, freedom of speech and expression is nothing but we have a right to talk also, express ourselves, whatever. So those fundamental rights were given. Those are something like in order to give you right to life, in order to give you right to freedom of expression or freedom of trade, commerce, government do not need to invest a lot of money, right? It's ultimately you who would be enjoying it, right? They do not need to use a lot of resources in order to ensure that there is equality, right? So there were a set of things which would not require a lot of resources from the state. Those were included as fundamental rights. That means from the time constitution is applicable, these rights would be guaranteed. We are entitled to enjoy these rights. But now there were another set of things that government wanted to provide us, but due to many reasons, right? Like lack of resources, financial resources and other stuff, it was not possible that immediately everything would be given to everyone. Like for NGOs and all, we see, right, they have some aims and objectives and they have some mission and vision. What is mission and vision? That might be after 10 years, after 20 years, we want to reach there, right? But aims and objectives might be this year itself we want to achieve it, right? So same, you can compare that fundamental rights are like aims and objectives. Now only it's been guaranteed, and directive principles are like mission and vision that constitution framers had, right? That whenever you have the resources, whenever you have the ability, you should try to provide all of these things that are mentioned under DPSP. Like one good example is free and compulsory primary education. At the time when constitution came into force, it was not possible financially that everyone would be given free education, free food, free books, uniform, all that stuff. But now after so many years, government realized that now we can provide it. So accordingly, it was made a part of fundamental duties, right? So DPSP is nothing but some kind of things, right? Some welfare schemes or some provisions that government want to provide, but right now they do not have the ability to provide it. So it's not made like guaranteed thing. If government wants, they can introduce a certain scheme, provide us few things and all that stuff, right? Like there is some old age pension and all that stuff, right? Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, then some MGNREGA scheme. All those schemes are something that is coming under DPSP, right? That it's not something which they are bound to, but they are still, like trying to provide it. So all these things, right? Fundamental rights, DPSP, fundamental duties, these are applicable to other states because they are not having a special status, right? These are applicable to other states. But with regard to Jammu and Kashmir, these are not applicable because they have just surrendered these three areas, right? So it's not applicable to them. Even if central government wants to introduce some scheme like might be Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana or something, that may not be applicable in Jammu and Kashmir, right? Unless and until their state government introduces something like that, those would not be applicable. And accordingly, the people residing there would not be entitled to get those benefits as well under whatever is provided under DPSP, whatever is provided under fundamental rights or fundamental duties also would not be accordingly applicable. This is clear, right?
Yes, madam.
Yeah, so these things, right, these are just like in past tense only. Now it's no more relevant. But still we can mention that this is how Article 370 operated. This is how a special status was given to Jammu and Kashmir. Then a special constituent assembly was set up by the state and it framed the separate constitution of for the state, and it is the only state that used to have its own official flag as well. They used to fly its own flag along with the tricolor flag of India. But in 2019, when this article was repealed, special status was removed, this their official flag also was relinquished. So this is how their official flag looked like, and it would be there, like both the two flags would be there in any sort of government departments and all that other stuff. So now this also.
But Karnataka as an official flag, no? Or is it not necessarily an official?
Karnataka, not official.
State of Karnataka.
Is it?
Because I was not familiar with other states' flag, but since we live in Karnataka, of course we know. So when the Kannada Rajyotsava happens, so they host Kannada flag.
The flag was proposed for the state in 2018 but was subsequently withdrawn, and the unofficial Karnataka flag remains popular in the state. That's not official.
Oh, okay, it's not official.
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, we don't see that flag anywhere in any of the official premises, maybe assembly or maybe in the government offices anyway.
Is it like belonging to some political party, Kannada Paksh?
No. That flag is not belongs to any political party.
All right. But it's not again, like official.
Looks like, because whenever I visit any of the government offices,
yeah, I also have not seen.
Karnataka courts, state courts. No, even
this only, right? Yellow, red, and white.
Yes, not white, only yellow and red.
All right.
I don't know how they are. Maybe movies made popular of such flags.
Yeah.
But it is not official.
Yeah, it's not official. But with regard to them, it was official. They would use both of the flags, but now they cannot use it anymore again. For Jammu and Kashmir also, it's not allowed to be used anymore. So it was the only state which was not needed to provide detailed record with regard to money flowing in to the state and where and how it is being used. But with regard to other state, there might be some sort of obligations, and also if central government is providing some funds and all, there should be proper disclosure made with regard to its use or where it is being used or utilized, right? So with regard to them, they are independent with regard to this matter also. Land and property of the state could not be purchased by Indians of the other state. So just when this news was in, all people started researching, right? Land price in Jammu and Kashmir, and that was somehow trending also. So any idea, like, was it allowed? Anyone bought property there?
No, I have no connect. I don't have any such contact.
Yeah. Because it was like everything was shut down there, right? So for 1 year, and now again there are so many news that
still many people are protesting. They want to 370 to be reversed
again. It should be applied.
I don't understand why opposition's Congress wants this to be reversed.
So in respect of Jammu and Kashmir, the residuary power was with the state government and not with the Union of India. So there are these three lists, right? Union, state, and concurrent list. There is another thing that is called as residuary powers. Residuary as in whatever is left, right? So whatever is not included in like union, state, or concurrent list, right? All those things would be considered as residuary. Like any new matter coming in which is not a part of any of those, that would come under residuary, and accordingly central government would have power to make laws with regard to it. But that thing would not be applicable with regard to Jammu and Kashmir also, because they have not given that authority to parliament. The permanent residents of Jammu and Kashmir also had been granted some special provisions with regard to employment under the state, settlement in the state, attaining immovable properties within the state, and all that stuff, which were not allowed to an outsider. So those provisions also would be repealed. So that was also one of the concerns that people had with regard to it, like removal of special status that was given to them, because now they will have to compete with candidates from all the other states as well.
Other states.
any amendment in the Constitution of India could not be extended to Jammu and Kashmir unless and until it is something that is made with regard to Article 370 of Constitution, because definitely the remaining provisions do not apply to them, so they would not be affected by any other changes with regard to that. Now, High Court of Jammu and Kashmir. High Court of Jammu and Kashmir had limited powers as compared to other High Courts of India. High Court of Jammu and Kashmir was not having the power to declare any law unconstitutional. It could issue writs only for enforcement of fundamental rights, unlike other high courts which can use writs under Article 226 in relation to other matters also. So if you see with regard to writs, like for Supreme Court, it is mentioned under Article 32, which is inside Part 3, right? So Article 32 is part of Part 3 only. So we can directly approach Supreme Court with regard to violation of any of our fundamental rights. But with regard to high courts, right, we can approach them for any other matters also, even if it's not a part of Part 3 of Constitution. For other matters also we can approach the High Court, but that power again was not given to Jammu and Kashmir High Court because the provisions would not apply to them. Now, procedure to amend the state constitution, because they are having their own constitution, process would also vary, and they would have their own process with regard to making changes in their own constitution. So the provisions of Constitution of State can be amended by Legislative Assembly Act of the state, which is passed by not less than 2/3 of the total members. President's approval is needed for it to come into effect if amendment seeks to affect governor or election commission. With regard to this, president's approval would be needed. Otherwise, Legislative Assembly can simply pass the bill and accordingly it would be approved, means the amendment would be taking place in Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir. Extension of amendment to the state of Jammu and Kashmir can only be done by an order of president under Article 370. Whether Article 370 can be amended when the Constituent Assembly of the state no longer exists is a debatable question. So now how can we make changes with regard to this Article 370? It is by a presidential order or a notification. That notification is available here also in case you want to see by which notification this special status was removed. It also contains how, like, the content of Article 370, right? After special status was removed, how would Article 370 look like? What is the content inside it? That also is provided under this notification, which would have its effect from 6th of August 2019. So this link is there if you want to check the notification in any case.
Okay.
So on 6th of August, from 6th of August, this would be applicable. And on 9th of August 2019, Jammu Kashmir Reorganization Act was passed that repealed a lot of state laws and extended the validity of about 106 state central legislations to Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir as well as Ladakh. So we discussed about this legislation also, right? When studying
Yes.
contract and other stuff, property also, I think. So this legislation is having all the provisions that you might be interested to know with regard to Jammu and Kashmir, like how it will be reorganized, how things will be divided between the two union territories. All that provisions are given, whatever is applicable, everything is mentioned. And towards the end, there are different schedules. Those schedules also provide for things like oath and affirmation of different officers. Then it also mentions with regard to what all state laws are being repealed because of removal of the special status, what all state laws would be applicable even now. There are few laws which would be applicable even now. So that list is also provided. And then we have a list of 106 central legislations which would now be applicable to Union Territories of Jammu and Kashmir as well as Ladakh. So all that stuff is given there. But you can simply remember that this is the legislation which basically extended the validity. Mostly it made changes with regard to section 1 of most of the legislation, because section 1 usually tells us with regard to scope and applicability. So that provision is being changed for all this legislation. Or if it's any other article also, like a section would be given and then they would say that this is how it is being changed. Rather than making changes in all these 106 legislations, this is how it was being done with regard to it. So then with regard to conclusion, right, you can just mention that debates and discussion regarding the positives and negatives of revoking special status of Jammu and Kashmir still continues. That for 1 year there was like complete shutdown of every single thing. Those what all loss they had suffered, regarding that also still people discuss. So that is still continuing. And after that there is something called as the delimitation commission, because now like this one state, right, it's being divided into two different union territories. So accordingly, based on their geography, based on number of people who are residing population, they need to demarcate the constituent assemblies also, like assembly constituencies also, right? For the purpose of election, they need to accordingly divide that. So for that purpose, this delimitation commission is being set up, which will again look into the assembly constituencies in Jammu and Kashmir. And they have asked for an extension. They asked for this extension in March 2021, and they were given 1 year extension. That means it would take another 1 year for them to properly decide these different constituencies that will be there in Jammu and Kashmir. And also with regard to this, right, like Jammu and Kashmir is mostly said to be BJP dominated, and then there is Ladakh where there are less number of seats. And then with regard to Jammu and Kashmir, they are proposing to add 4 more seats. So that is the basic controversy why other parties are not in favor of this thing, right? They want that Article 370 should again be applied, because what happens is the BJP would get like an advantage. So that is again another issue that people are raising. So those things would be clear only after this delimitation commission submits its report, which should be coming in next year only, right? After 1 year, they should be submitting their report. Like for few other states also, they are supposed to decide these constituencies, but they have not asked for extension for other states. It's only with regard to Jammu and Kashmir that they ask for this extension. So accordingly, they should be submitting the report, and after that, it will be very clear as to how many seats will be allotted and all that stuff. The proceedings of the commission, which have like 5 MPs from Jammu and Kashmir, basically these 5 MPs were there and they boycotted this national conference, NC, a regional political party in Jammu and Kashmir. All these members basically separated from this commission, which was set up with regard to demarcation of assembly constituencies. And they said that this Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act of 2019, which was passed, it is unconstitutional, and they accordingly challenged its validity before Supreme Court of India, and this matter also is pending. Right. So at present, there are speculations that central government may restore statehood of Jammu and Kashmir rather than making it 2 different union territories. But we will be clear with regard to it only when this decision of Supreme Court comes, as well as this commission submits its report, and when any kind of notification comes or government decides something, right? There are some discussions going on at the central government level, but again, nothing is clear at the moment. So you can might be keep an eye with regard to it, and if nothing happens, right, no development or nothing happens before your exam, you can simply mention with regard to this only that yes, only after this report is being submitted, only after Supreme Court decides with regard to validity of this legislation, only after that we can say something. So this is the present position. Like that also you can conclude with regard to this matter.
Okay.
So there is one one video I saw on YouTube. If you are interested, I'll add the link also over here. Okay. So that basically mentions why is it that some people like non-BJP supporters basically are against this decision, why they want that Article 370 again the special status should be given to Jammu and Kashmir. So that will make it very clear. That thing also you can mention, that this is the controversy basically, why there are like two different like groups. One is supporting it, one is completely against it, even after like about 2 years of this decision, like that also you can mention. So this question was there. This was basically like when, like before 2019, it would be relevant that Article 370 and special status that was granted to Jammu and Kashmir. But for now, you can, might be, these kind of a question might be there, or like write a short note on removal of special status that was given to Jammu and Kashmir under Article 370 of Constitution of India. Like that there can be a question, or if any development takes place with regard to that, there might be a question, right? So comment on the removal of special status that was provided to Jammu and Kashmir under Article 370 of Constitution. Accordingly, these, like this only you can write, like that this was the history, this is how it was applicable, how Article 370 was applicable, and this is what has happened after Article 370, or the special status was being removed, right? Like that also you can mention if it's a short note or they are asking you to comment on the matter. And you can also look for this notification and the article you can go through if you want. Article is not that much relevant also, but still if you want you can go through that also. And also from here, right, this central legislations, like whatever legislation we are studying anyways, like Indian Contract Act, the sale of goods and other partnership and all that stuff, right? You can mention also like some like legislations which are like very basic and common, those are now becoming applicable. Like they were having a different penal code, right? We have Indian Penal Code, they had something called as Ranbir Penal Code. So now those are repealed and same would be applicable, right? Also there would be a like uniformity, right? Whatever is applicable here would be applicable there. If there is some precedent that is there in some like high court or somewhere, those also they can refer to, and all the other stuff, like there would be uniformity with regard to decision giving and other stuff also, those also you can mention. So this is a very short topic anyways, just what is the status presently, how it was, and what is the history with regard to it, right? So is this part clear?
Yes, madam.